They tell you medieval feasts were grand affairs, overflowing with roasted meats and fine wines. But for 9 out of 10 people, the truth was far grittier, and their daily bread, or rather their daily bowl, tasted of something you've likely never truly considered: pottage. This isn't just some forgotten recipe from a dusty old cookbook. This was the fuel, the comfort, and the very foundation of life for generations of medieval Europeans. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of history, much like one might peel an onion for the pot, to uncover the story of pottage. We'll explore how this humble, thick stew wasn't just a meal, but a testament to human ingenuity, survival, and the enduring power of simple ingredients. Subscribe and comment for more medieval videos. It sustained families through hard labor, harsh winters, and times of famine, making it far more significant than any banquet dish. So, pull up a stool by the fire, because we're about to dive into the bubbling cauldron of history and discover why pottage was the most important dish you've never eaten. Imagine a time when convenience foods were unheard of, when fresh meat was a rare luxury, and when every calorie counted. For the vast majority of people living in medieval Europe, from the early Middle Ages right up through the 17th century, their diet revolved around one central, unassuming dish: pottage. Now, when I say pottage, don't picture a delicate, clear broth or a fancy modern stew. Think thicker, much thicker, more like a dense porridge or a thick, chunky gruel, almost solid enough to stand a spoon in. It was cooked slowly, patiently, in a single, mighty cauldron hung directly over the open hearth, the heart of every home. This wasn't just a dish, it was a way of life, consumed daily, often twice a day, providing the sustenance needed for back-breaking work in the fields. It was the ultimate, sustainable meal, requiring minimal resources and even less fussy preparation, making it perfect for those who toiled from sunup to sundown. So, what exactly went into this workhorse of a meal? At its very core, pottage began with the most basic element: water. This wasn't a fancy stock, just water, often collected from a nearby well or stream. Into this went whatever common vegetables were available, either from the family's small garden patch or foraged from the surrounding land. Cabbage was a superstar, hardy and easy to grow, often appearing in the pot day after day. Onions and leeks provided flavor and a much-needed zing, while turnips and peas, often dried for storage, added substance. Beans were another staple, providing vital protein and making the pottage even more filling. But vegetables alone, while nutritious, wouldn't provide the staying power needed for a day of plowing or weaving. That's where grains came in. Barley was a common choice, cheap and hardy, but oats and rye were also frequently used. These grains weren't just for flavor. Their main purpose was to thicken the pottage, turning a watery soup into a substantial, energy-rich meal that would stick to your ribs and keep hunger at bay for hours. They would absorb the liquid, swell up, and create that characteristic dense, porridge-like texture. Imagine stirring a big pot, watching the grains slowly soften, and the whole mixture become wonderfully gloopy and satisfying. Now let's talk about meat. For the average peasant, fresh meat was a rare dream, not a daily reality. The cost alone put it out of reach for most. If meat did make it into the pottage, it would be the cheapest, toughest cuts, or even better parts that wealthier folks wouldn't touch. We're talking bacon, often salted pork to preserve it, or offal, the organs and less desirable parts like liver, kidney, or tripe. Nothing went to waste. Even bones, stripped of their meager flesh, would be thrown into the cauldron to simmer for hours, extracting every last bit of flavor and nutrient, enriching the broth in a way that nothing else could. It was a testament to their resourcefulness. Every scrap was precious. Beyond the staples, pottage was a dish that celebrated seasonality and the gifts of the wild. As the seasons changed, so too did the additions to the pot. In spring, wild herbs like sorrel or wild garlic would add fresh flavors. Nettles, once blanched to remove their sting, offered a boost of vitamins. Mushrooms, carefully gathered from the forests, provided an earthy richness. Berries, while less common, could even be added for a surprisingly sweet and savory twist. These foraged ingredients weren't just for flavor. They were essential dietary supplements, ensuring a broader range of nutrients than cultivated crops alone could provide. As for seasoning, forget your elaborate spice racks. For the vast majority, a pinch of salt was the only luxury. It was a vital preservative and flavor enhancer, but often hard to come by and expensive. In the homes of the slightly better off, perhaps a village elder or a skilled artisan, you might find a bit of pepper or even a tiny amount of precious saffron, adding color and a delicate flavor to their pottage. But for the typical peasant, the flavors came from the vegetables, the grains, and whatever humble meat or foraged greens they could gather. This adaptability was the true genius of pottage. It evolved daily, a living, breathing recipe that changed based on what was available, what had been harvested, what could be bartered for, or what meager animal had been hunted. The process itself was a communal affair, even in a single-family home. The large, heavy iron pot, often passed down through generations, hung steadfastly over the fire. It would bubble and simmer for hours, sometimes all day, transforming tough vegetables and grains into a soft, digestible, and incredibly nourishing meal. This slow cooking was key. It broke down tough fibers, made nutrients more accessible, and stretched every ingredient to its absolute maximum. Think of it as the original slow cooker, designed for efficiency and nutrient extraction, long before electricity was even a dream. The nutritional value of pottage was immense, considering the circumstances. By simmering ingredients for so long, every last vitamin, mineral, and calorie was coaxed out and into the liquid. It was a complete meal in a single bowl, providing carbohydrates for energy, some protein from grains, beans, and any scraps of meat, and essential vitamins from vegetables. And nothing, absolutely nothing, went to waste. Leftovers weren't discarded, they were cherished. A partially eaten pot of pottage would be reheated the next day, perhaps thickened further with more grains, or bulked up with new additions. It was a perpetual stew, sometimes simmering for days, even weeks, with new ingredients added as old ones were consumed. This constant cycle was an act of profound resourcefulness. Economically, pottage was nothing short of vital. It was the ultimate budget meal, allowing scarce ingredients to be stretched to feed many mouths. It minimized waste to an absolute zero, a practice that we, in our modern age of abundance, could learn a great deal from. Most importantly, it kept millions of peasants nourished, even if barely, through brutal winters and lean times, allowing them to perform the back-breaking labor that fueled medieval society. Without pottage, the entire system would have collapsed. It was the silent, humble engine of civilization. Beyond its practicalities, pottage carried deep cultural significance. It wasn't just food. It was a symbol of humility, resilience, and survival. It was often called poor man's food, a label that wasn't necessarily derogatory, but simply descriptive of its primary consumers. Yet its reach extended beyond the peasant hovel. Monastic communities, known for their asceticism and self-sufficiency, relied heavily on pottage, often vegetarian versions packed with lentils and vegetables. Even castle servants, the backbone of any medieval household, would have their daily rations of pottage, ensuring they were fed, if not sumptuously. The memory of pottage even echoes in our modern world, albeit faintly. Remember the nursery rhyme? Peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot, 9 days old. That's a direct cultural reference to pottage, specifically a version made from dried peas, highlighting its ubiquity its ability to be eaten at various temperatures, and its remarkable longevity in the pot. It wasn't just a children's rhyme. It was a snapshot of daily life, passed down through generations. So, if pottage was so central, so vital, what led to its decline? Like all things, society evolved. As the centuries turned, agricultural advances brought new farming techniques and more efficient ways to grow food. Trade routes expanded, introducing a wider variety of goods and ingredients to even the most remote villages. This gradual shift started to chip away at pottage's dominance. The real game changer, however, came with the introduction of new crops from the Americas. The potato, for instance, offered incredible yields from relatively small plots of land, was easy to grow, and incredibly versatile. Maize, or corn, was another contender, providing substantial calories with simpler preparation methods than grains like barley or rye. These new crops offered benefits that pottage, for all its resilience, couldn't match. They were often easier to cultivate, faster to cook, and provided a different kind of dietary flexibility. By the 18th century, pottage had largely faded from prominence, replaced by more refined regional dishes that reflected the changing tastes and increasing availability of food. It didn't disappear entirely overnight, but its status as the universal, indispensable staple slowly eroded. What was once the bedrock of an entire civilization became a quaint, historical curiosity. But its legacy, though forgotten by many, endures. Pottage stands as a powerful reminder of medieval resilience, a humble, nutritious meal that quite literally kept generations alive through times of incredible hardship. It teaches us a profound principle. Necessity often breeds the most enduring and innovative solutions. This simple stew, born of scarcity and ingenuity, demonstrates how to make the most of what little you have. And while you might not find pottage on a modern menu, its spirit lives on. Every hearty stew simmering on a stove, every comforting bowl of soup, every wholesome porridge that warms us from the inside out, they are all, in a way, echoes of that ancient, enduring pottage. It reminds us that sometimes the simplest things are the most profound, and that a single pot, filled with basic ingredients, can hold the history of an entire world. If you're craving more tales from the hearths of history, make sure to check out our next video.